SENBAZURU, Part 2. My body is violently jolted about in my seat, abruptly awakening me from my slumber. The pilot announces on the plane's intercom that we are experiencing a bit of air turbulence as the plane makes its descent within Japan's airspace. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened as we safely approach Haneda Airport, the pilot reassures passengers. As I am not a new flyer, I was used to turbulence. Rubbing my eyes and clearing the crust from my lashes, I glanced out the window to see the wing of the aircraft whipping through tufts of clouds. I instinctively reached for Shane's hand to hold, and to my shock, it met a vacant seat. Immediately, I shoot up straight in my seat and look around in wild panic. My eyes scan the plane and catches a glimpse of the paper crane nearly falling out of the sleeping Asian boy's hands. Instantly, I remember the foreboding I received before I slept off. Frantically, I remove my seatbelt and stand up in an attempt to look for my fiancé when an air hostess instructs me to have my seat and not to unbuckle my seatbelt until the seatbelt icon light is switched off. I slowly sit back down and begin to take deep breaths. Closing my eyes, I resolved that if Shane wasn't back by the time I counted to 10, I would tear the plane apart looking for him, regardless of the stupid icon. I count in between deep breaths. My eyes were shut tight so I could concentrate on my inhales and exhales, helping me release some of the tension I felt right now. 4, 5, 6. My heart was beating faster now as I approached the dreaded number 10. Where was he? 7, 8, 9. I braced myself for a search mission straight out of a rapture movie. 10. My eyes fling open and I quickly reach for my seatbelt when then I hear my beloved's voice say next to me, "You need to use the restroom too?" I gasped in total relief and frustration. I then grabbed his hand and squeezed it tightly. "Ow, ow, ow, honey. Are you having a baby or something?" I snarled. "Don't you ever scare me like that again." Shane wore a confused look on his face. After my heart decelerates in pace, my face softens and I release my grip on his hand, which lit up like Rudolph's red nose. "Oops. Sorry, dear." I apologize. Shane nods his head and massages his hand. He realizes that I had what seemed like a panic attack and sympathizes with me. "I promise to let you know where I am going before I leave your side, all right? I'm sorry for spooking you." I begin to smile when I get jostled into his side as the plane continues to experience air disturbance. Then suddenly, as if nothing happened, the plane stabilizes and the pilot announces the minutes left to land and thanks the passengers for their patience. Looking out the window, we see the plane burst through a cloud and into a breathtaking night display of Tokyo from above, with the city lights gleaming as if to beckon us welcome to the land of the rising sun. The air hosts and hostesses walk down the aisles, instructing reclined passengers to erect their seatbacks and keep their seatbelts fastened in preparation for landing. Apparently, Shane had requested all our airline meals to be packaged for later consumption. He had eaten some of his meals, and the leftovers were in the takeaway packs. My stomach growled. I couldn't believe I slept through the whole flight. That was very unusual for me and unwanted because it meant I would be bright-eyed with this first evening in Japan and fatigued the next day. I wanted to beat jet lag, but it seems I will have to adjust on its own terms. The runway draws closer speedily, and as a graceful bird, the wheels of the plane touches down. The engine reverse thrusters roar, and the plane slows down to a gentle glide. After taxiing to a vacant hangar and making a complete stop, the airplane's seatbelt icons were switched off, allowing us to remove our carry-on luggage from the overhead compartment. All the passengers file out of the plane one by one. "Thank you for flying with us and have a good evening," the flight attendants chime as we exit the aircraft. As soon as we were able to walk side by side, Shane held my hand. I look up at him and read gusto in his eyes. He grins and says, "Shall we?" I nod with a smile and we traverse to the baggage claim area. We patiently stand near the baggage carousel, waiting for our 3 suitcases, and then I feel a tap on my right hand. Startled, I looked down, and it happens to be the same Asian boy on the plane. He looked frightened. I look up and don't spy any female Asian woman fervently searching for their child. The child begins to cry and catches Shane's attention. Why, who is this little one? Where are his parents? He questions while glancing about the airport area. I stood down in front of the boy to comfort him. Shh, it is okay. We will find your mother. Upon hearing me speak his language, he quiets down, staring wide-eyed at me. I smile and pat his shoulders warmly, and the boy gave a shy smile. Shane bent down also and remarks, "You really have a way with kids." He was interrupted mid-sentence by a lady shrieking, "Hiro! Hiro!" We look up to see a Japanese woman running towards us with a desperate and horrified look on her face. Immediately, Shane and I stand and give room for the dramatic embrace between mother and son. She had tears streaming down her face, and she kept cooing, "My son, my hero." The boy's mother arose, carrying her son in her arms. She turns to me and says in broken English, "Thank you very much." With a grin, I reply in her mother tongue, "No need to thank me." She too was amazed that I speak Japanese so fluently. I introduce my fiance to her and exchange pleasantries. She extends an invitation to dine with her and her son during our business trip. I politely take her business card, which contained her mobile number. A single mom with a busy career as a lawyer, yet she finds time to vacation with her son. "Arigatou gozaimashita," I thanked her. Shane retrieved our luggage and we were ready to go catch a ride to the hotel we booked. Suddenly, little hero extends his hand to give me the multicolored paper crane. Surprised, I collect the origami creature in gratitude. His dimples appear as he beamed. I thank him and we wave goodbye to him and his mom. Carefully, I place the origami wingbird in my spacious handbag for safekeeping during transit. Before we leave the airport, we exchange $100 out of the hard cash we carried to the local currency, amounting to 11,218 yen. I used my Uber app to locate the nearest driver to help take us to our hotel. Luckily for us, one was in the airport vicinity. The stipulated charge was $50. But because I impressed him with my fluent Japanese as well as my beauty, he discounted the price. Of course, Shane did not need to know the latter detail before the driver would be given suspicious glares throughout the 13 to 15-minute car ride. It was a cool evening, and the breeze whips through my hair and caresses my face as I peer out through the open window. I sniff the oceanic scent and exhale a sigh of blissful relaxation. Desiring to be on the ocean front and listen to the bellowing waves clash against the shore, I anticipate the tourist aspects of our mini vacation. So many sights to visit and foods to eat. With that thought, I remembered I was hungry and reached in my bag for one of the packaged meals, plus a small juice. That's when I lay a hand on the paper crane. I bring it out gently and stroke my fingers across its wings. "Looks like you got your first souvenir in Japan," Shane comments. "I believe so," I reply. Oddly, I still couldn't shake that ominous feeling while I gazed at the crafted bird. Even with all its colorful array, there was an invisible and a sinister sense I felt that seemed to suck all the colors into a dark vortex. Once again, I'm lost in thought and didn't hear Shane call me the first time. "Honey," he repeated. Yes, dear," I whisper, still staring at the paper crane. "What is the matter?" he asks. I force myself to pull my gaze away and towards Shane, who had worry plastered on his face. I shake my head, and all I could respond with is, "I just don't know." To be continued.